Streaming live every Saturday morning from Darin Bergsven Guitar Studio near Chester Creek in Duluth, Coffee and Guitar celebrates the guitar music and guitar players of the Minnesota Northwoods. There's a mighty forest of great guitar players that stretches from the headwaters of the Mississippi to the shore of Lake Superior. Each month, Coffee and Guitar welcomes a guest, a guitar giant of the Northwoods, to tell guitar stories, share guitar insights, and make guitar music. Good morning, happy Saturday, welcome to Coffee and Guitar with Darin Bergsven, featuring Charlie Parr this week. Welcome, Charlie, thank you for being here. This is amazing, folks. We're in for a great morning.
Thanks for having me, Darin. I appreciate being here.
Oh, it's awesome. Morning, Mom. Good morning, Barb. Morning, Rob. How's things in Hibbing? Charlie, we like to get right into it.
Coffee?
How do you take your coffee?
Black.
Black.
Yes.
All right.
Straight, no chaser. That's beautiful. Thank you.
First pour of the morning. First notes. Kinda.
That's excellent.
We've been up a while.
Not that long.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
It's good to have you here. You come a long way. You were just in Montana.
Yeah. Well, I was in Montana for just a couple of days.
Yeah.
I just got back. I was in St. Paul. I came up from St. Paul yesterday. I go back to St. Paul and down to Austin today. So
moving right along.
Yeah.
Headed out eastward next.
Headed out eastward. I'm really grateful. I've been included on the Brooklyn Folk Festival this year at St. Anne's Church in Brooklyn.
Nice.
On an evening of performers from Smithsonian's 75th anniversary of Folkways Records.
Wow.
So Ramblin' Jack Elliott, Alice Gerrard, Peggy Seeger, the Fugs, or what's left of the Fugs. Peter Stamfel's going to be there. There's going to be a Harry Smith retrospective, and they're going to screen several of Harry's films.
And Charlie Parr.
I'm going to be there. Dom Flemons is going to be there. Jake Blunt is going to be there. So I'm beyond thrilled to get to go and do that.
That's very exciting.
So I'm going to bounce shows on the way out and on the way back. So.
What do you think? I've been listening through your catalog, thinking about what I'd like to do.
Sorry.
If I have any say in it. You got a coffee song. Coffee's
coffee
gone
song?
cold. Yeah, can we coffee?
I can try it. It's an older one, so.
I should make sure we're all here. Chilly up there, Rob? Yeah, it's chilly. Hey, good morning. Ed's listening in Austin. Schaefer. I was just showing him. So we've been talking guitars all morning, Ed. I've been showing him pictures.
You look wonderful, Ed. As always.
All right, I think this sounds good. Good enough to give it a shot.
Okay. Living down on my street except for me and the neighbors and the dogs and all them kids. Yes, and we keep it simple. Don't want nobody around. All them sidewalks, storm drains, sewer take us into town. I don't want to be part of that town. Where they're gonna go. Well, you gotta go to work, you gotta go to the store, hurry up on your way, ain't got time for you no more. Ain't got time for me. Yeah, but I can't go that fast. I don't want to rush around. I want to drink my coffee while I'm sitting down. So I can stare out the window, I can stare back inside too. I ain't being lazy if I ain't got nothing to do. I ain't ain't got nothing to do. Stop and talk. Park next to the door, that way you won't have to walk. And I get past on the highway, I get past on the sidewalk too. I'm going back to the country to pass a little time with you. If you'd only sit down for a minute or two. Spend some money, go buy gas from Uncle Oil, go through the drive-up, and you never leave your car no more. You get old. I forgot this last verse. It's okay. That last verse was no good anyway.
Oh, Charlie, thank you. Thank you for brushing that one up for me.
Yeah, that's old.
It's a treat. That is a treat. What record was that off? It's all a blur now. I've been listening to so much.
There's a record called Jubilee.
That's on Jubilee.
Yeah, and it's probably different on that because I played it for a long time, and then
it was in.
It just kind of went away.
No, that's.
I forgot.
That's pretty much what it was like. There's a kazoo on the record.
Was there? Oh, God.
And like a washboard.
Yeah. My friend Mickle played washboard on the record.
Yeah.
It's
a
pretty ragtime.
It had a real rag feel.
Yeah. But songs go away. They come back. They go away. This might come back. I don't know. Maybe I'll tweak the lyrics a little bit. But songs are like having a shed full of bicycle parts. You know, once you kind of have parts in the shed. And not only that, but maybe it's better to say the songs aren't ever finished. You know, because
I never know what to do with my bicycle parts either.
Well, the thing about songs is you get to rewrite them every night. If you write a book or you paint a picture, there it is. If I paint a picture and I sell it to you and you put it in your house, I can't come into your house and edit it or change it in any way. But every night I get to take the song out of its little packet and rewrite it in front of people. And it's fine and it's good. My weirdly enough, my favorite time seeing Bob Dylan was during that time when you weren't really sure what he was playing, because it felt like he had gotten maybe he got bored or something, but he was playing with his own songs, and I thought that was inspiring.
I had a really good friend who went to one of his shows during that time, and she did not find it inspiring. She had other
She wanted to recognize songs.
She had other words to
I get that.
it.
Yeah, absolutely get that. I found it to be like, okay, this is a creation that he is still working on.
Right.
And I like that a lot because the record, kind of stands for a point in time. And then
it's hard not to get stuck on the record, and this is what it is.
Right, and it's beautiful and it's great, and I'd love to hear him do it that way. But then again, I also want to hear him do what he wants to do because he's a living artist. So.
And he's not 20 now.
And he's not 20, and that's what I love. When I used to go see Spider John Koerner all the time, and John would constantly play around with his songs, rearranging them and stuff, and I found that to be really inspiring. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks for bringing that one back for us.
Absolutely.
I like to pick up with a coffee theme, and whenever I see that a guest has a coffee song, you mentioned you take your coffee black, but I was thinking no one has said yet I take my coffee slow, which is sort of what I take from this song. You take your coffee sitting down, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I'm still kind of I like when I like just coffee time for me is sitting, getting ready for the day, looking out the window, not running around, but to be fair, I don't have a job, so I don't have to rush in the morning.
Well, I also prefer taking my time with my coffee. I usually take from about 6:30 in the morning to 2:30 in the afternoon with
There
my
you go.
coffee.
That's a good, healthy coffee break.
Oh, well, what? I have no set list or plan here anyway. So,
Do you want?
What would you like to do next, Charlie?
Well, I could do a song from the last record, which is called 817 Oakland Avenue, which utilizes this weird little partial capo. Which I know you guitar players don't like these capos, but this one
nothing against capos.
This one's really handy. It only covers 3 strings.
Yeah. My good friend Lance Benson was on the show from Bemidji, and has a whole set of those and uses multiple at one time up and down the neck in different ways.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about that. It was cool. He was able to get some intervals that there's no way I'd be able to fret.
No. Well, this makes a chord that it would be like unhealthy for a guitar to tune to.
Yeah. And unhealthy for a forearm to hold for an entire song.
Right. And I found I was given this and I didn't touch it for a long time because it was confusing, but then I started like just clamping it onto the neck in different places to see what it did, and this song came out of the capo, which
that's one of the things that Lance talked about too.
Yeah, because you're doing stuff you can't really do without it. So I found it to be a useful tool, and I use capos. Normally I use a capo because of singing. This time I'm using a capo because of guitar playing, so that was different.
Yeah, cool. Alan talked about effects pedals kind of serving the same purpose.
It's a
just
tool.
Breaking you out of here's a new soundscape to work in, and this song came out of this pedal.
Right. I think it's fair game. I think everything's fair game. And so.
So what do we? Yeah, let's go.
Joy in your days, even though you've had your share of pain, we're just hoarding all that joy again. Spread it around, spread it around, spread it around, ooh, spread it around. Has your belly ever been full? And have you fed your family too? Does your table have just a little more room? Spread it around. Spread it around. Spread it around. Ooh. Spread it around. Blanket soft and warm. Does the roof above your head keep out the storm? Can you save someone else from being cold? Spread it around. Spread it around. Spread it around, dude. Spread it around. it's got to be all given away, so we can all feel the heat of its rays. That's it.
Beautiful. Oh, spread it around, dude. Gina Lee loves that song.
Oh, thanks.
And Patrick Peterson, Patrick's capo confuses him. It is fun to mess with, isn't it? Farverland says, beautiful song, thank you. All right. Sandy, good morning. Sandy's enjoying the conversation. Speaking of conversation, Charlie, what's your guitar story? How did this all start for you?
When I was I was about 7 or, even before that, I guess. My dad, in the front of the house, there was we didn't have a television. We had a big Magnavox console stereo, really old one, tubes, AM radio and a turntable. That was what was in there. And my dad and my mom and dad both had this kind of shambolic record collection of all sorts of weird records. They didn't have like a thing that they specialized in. They just had records. It was like being at the library,
Mm-hmm.
So I'd dig through there and I'd find records I liked to play, and the things that I gravitated to the most were guitar players. And in that particular collection, the guitar players that you heard were like Jimmy Rogers, Mother Maybelle Carter, that weird guitar style of hers. Lightnin' Hopkins was my favorite. He had one Lightnin' Hopkins record.
That's a good place to start.
And the one that kicked it all off for me was a record by Mance Lipscomb, an early Arhoolie record called Texas Songster. And I that made me want to play guitar because I didn't understand what was going on. Mance is a Piedmont style player, even though he was from Navasota, Texas. And I wanted to do that really bad. Mom and Dad, there was really nowhere in town to get lessons in that kind of style, and we didn't have a lot of money, so I was, they got me a guitar and kind of left me to my own devices. And I sat in front of the speakers.
A guitar and a record.
Yeah, I sat in front of the speakers. I still have that record. It's basically flat. The groove is kind of gone now, but I sat in front of the speakers and retuned the guitar until I found a place where I could play most of the songs on the record, but it was open G. So I was teaching myself how to play an open G, which when I got to have like friends who play guitar,
you're in good company.
Things got confusing.
Oh, that's true.
But and learning other songs and stuff. But for years, I was in open G. I was playing along with blues records, which makes sense. As I got into being a teenager, and saying that I didn't take lessons kind of feels false to me because I kind of did. I was in a community of a lot of musicians for some reason in Austin where I grew up. It was, the kids were either into sports or they were into music. And we all kind of coalesced at a couple of different music shops in town. We were lucky we had 4 music shops.
Austin, Minnesota.
Four music shops.
Remember when towns used to have music shops?
Yeah, and one was kind of the place for the band kids to go. Mm-hmm. The other one was a Schmidt Music, mm-hmm. and then there was two like indie shops, Stigney's mm-hmm. and Apol's, and we would go there. In both of those shops, the dudes that ran those shops, they were welcoming people. Mm-hmm. Both of them. Mm-hmm. You could play anything in the shop, and it was fine. You could hang out there. Mm-hmm. Apold even went so far as to have his, like, the main part of his place was set up kind of like a living room where you could just hang out, watch other people play. So there's your lesson, mm-hmm. Seeing older dudes or whoever play guitar and me watching them and then going home to try it out.
Try that.
And that was great. And I was obsessed early on, and it never went away. It's, I've studied on my own all these years, which has been fine. It served me just fine, but it's a well that has no bottom for me. I mean, I play with the same kind of, I practice with the same kind of enthusiasm that I did when I was 10. So,
isn't it wonderful? It's
amazing. I mean, the thing just keeps on giving and giving and giving. I can't possibly get to the bottom of how to play it, so it's always fascinates me. Always. Mm-hmm. I listen to music all the time, and you listen to music with this kind of guitar player's ear after a while, trying to like discern
what's going
on there. What are they doing? Or watching other guitar players and noticing how they're doing what they're doing, and then scrambling to find my guitar so I can give that a try. And I don't use all this stuff all the time in my gig, but a lot of it, like that capo, sneaks into my songwriting, and suddenly things feel like they're evolving, and they've, without too many hiccups, they've always felt like they've been evolving for me. Slow, but I'm fine with slow,
Slow and steady.
Yeah.
Not that there's any race here. We're not.
I don't feel like I'm in a hurry. I mean, I hope that I get to play guitar for as long as I can. I'm 56 now, and I know what the end looks like. I've got friends of mine who are elderly guitar players.
Likewise.
And
making choices.
Yeah. So I know what the end game looks like. I'm just, my approach to that is I'm going to be grateful and appreciate where I'm at right now. And if I continue to do that, right up to the end,
it's a good approach generally to things.
I think to life, I mean, that's what eternal life is, right? Getting this notion of time out of the way and just existing in the present moment and being grateful.
Time is an illusion and space is consequence, right?
Well, that's for a different podcast. It's Darin's philosophy podcast.
No, that's your lyrics,
up
man.
Next.
That's Charlie Parr, not Darin Bergsven. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, it's the gift that keeps on giving, right?
It is absolutely.
Never satisfied, never done. Always a beginner.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the stance that I prefer to have. I am, always ready to receive new information. Mm-hmm. And I'm grateful for people in my life who have been willing to allow me to, learn from them. And there've been a lot. So I can't say I'm self-taught. I can say I've never paid for a guitar lesson in my life, and that's not true either. Because recently I did go to Dakota Dave Hull's house for a guitar lesson, which was a massive failure.
Massive failure.
Massive
failure. How could it be a failure?
Because I love Dave, and we had a great time. And he's a coffee connoisseur. He made me a cup of coffee that blew my mind. We had coffee.
Forgot about the guitar.
We talked. We played guitar together for a little while. We worked on. We talked about ragtime stuff. Played a little bit. I'm like I said, I'm a terrible student. I dropped out of high school. I'm not a good student. I gladly paid the man for the lesson, but it was I couldn't tell you anything I learned that day except for Dave's a really good friend and I love watching him play guitar.
Yeah.
I'm sure I learned something, actually. I always learned something.
I think we're all, We're all different students. There's not good students and bad students. There's a lot of
There
different
you go.
students.
Well,
out
that's
there.
a good way to look at it. I like that.
We learn what we learn, how we learn it,
Right.
and then it falls out. Right? Is there another? I could talk or not talk for hours. What was that first guitar that your folks bought you?
My
What
first
was your first guitar?
my first guitar was an early '60s Gibson B45 12-string.
Started on a 12-string.
No,
Oh.
because I took
Okay.
I took those six
Holy!
of those
You
six of
caught
those
yourself
strings
on a-
were confusing to me. And actually, when I got it, it only had 11 strings on it.
Okay.
That high G octave had broken like they usually do.
Yeah.
I played it as a 6-string for years, until I was 11 or 12 when I started getting into like instrumental guitar players like Leo Kottke and John Fahey, and then went to the music store and bought a pack of 12-string strings and strung it up as a 12-string.
Heard it for the first. Wow.
And then got challenged all over again. And now I actually don't have like an acoustic wooden 6-string. I haven't for a long time. I have 3 12-strings, and I have 3 resonator guitars.
And you string your 12 strings as 6 strings, or you just
No.
play 12 strings?
No, they're all 12 strings.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
And I love them. I mean, when I put all the strings on that guitar, I kind of fell in love all over again, because there's a palette that is like, oh, this is amazing. And I went down the rabbit hole for a long time listening to 12-string guitar players, all the Atlanta guys and Lead Belly and the contemporary folks and the Hawaiian, the slack key players. Dove kind of down into some of the alternate tunings for 12-string, and I still that relationship is still really fascinating to me, because I'm listening to like contemporary folks like Toby Hay, who just blows my mind with some of the tunings he uses and his technique. And so I prefer I love the 12-string. As far as like acoustic guitars, that's what I like to play.
Awesome. I don't own a 12-string.
You should get one.
Yeah.
We were taking a break from guitars.
He's taking a break from guitars.
From buying new guitars.
That's funny.
It's been like 6. It's been like 6 months, Aaron.
Someone online is wondering about the song Birdman. Maybe is that one you can play?
No. I don't think
They're
so.
asking, can Charlie give the story behind the song Birdman?
Yeah, I guess so. It's God, I haven't played it in a long time. I guess if I had time to like refresh my memory on it,
We don't need to do anything.
its original title was Song for Lauren B. And in my town when I grew up, there was a fella. They called him alternately the Birdman or by his name. He was a friend of my sister's, and he lived kind of an alternative lifestyle. But if you caught him, if you went and found where he was hanging out, he would hang out in like the coffee shop at the community college. It's just so smart. He's kind of I've had a love affair with philosophy for a long time, and reading, and he brought a lot of that to my life just by sitting around this big table in the community college coffee shop listening to the man talk. So smart. But he was living outside, and he lived outside for my whole life that I knew him. He's gone now, but the song, when I moved to the cities after I left Austin, I got a job working as part of an outreach crew, and all we did was serve people who were forced to live outside. And we brought them food, blankets, first aid stuff, shoes, whatever we could scrounge. Brought out nurses and mental health professionals, coordinated with the VA. It was just it was the best job I've ever had in my life, including this one. And I wrote the song after I got that job, thinking back on Lauren and being, part of a group of marginalized people who, just ends up kind of being overlooked, even though, you know, just incredibly intelligent person.
Mm-hmm.
And there he was, and then working in that field and meeting over and over again, like meeting all these people who I admired so much, and due to circumstances, you know, one paycheck gone, suddenly there you are, and it snowballs from there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the song kind of came out of that stuff. I wish I could remember how to play it. I'd play it for you, but I don't even know where I'd start.
Not to throw more requests, but how about King Earl?
I could actually play King Earl. King Earl came out of the same place. Yeah. I can actually play that song. I think it's going to be in C.
King Earl.
And this is a total rip-off job. My melody for King Earl is Away in a Manger. So
Yeah, it is. Good, I'm not crazy.
Earl is down in a hole in the ground. Haven't sang this in a long time, obviously. Well, Earl is down in a hole in the ground. His coat is torn and his shoes are gone, and he ain't got nothing to eat, and he ain't got nowhere to go. All around his town, I ain't done nothing wrong. I can't get up and down. I'm on my way back home. I ain't got nowhere to go. Standing in the doorway and he's begging for some change, hiding from the wind, and it's God bless you, ma'am. And the owner steps out and he says, hey, beat it, you bum. All around his town, I ain't done nothing wrong. I can't get up and down. I'm on my way back home, but I ain't got nowhere to go. Well, he's back of the liquor store and he's digging through the trash. He's smoking butts and cans, well, he's canning them in for cash. And the owner steps out and says, son, I'm gonna kick your ass, and it's gonna be all around this town. I ain't done nothing wrong. I can't get up and down. I'm on my way back home, but I ain't got nowhere to go. Tells the owner now, what would you do if it happened to you? You'd be hungry too. And the owner sees red and he comes back with a bat. All around this town, I ain't done nothing wrong. I can't get up and down. I'm on my way back home, but I ain't got nowhere to go. body lies down in a hole in the ground, and his coat is gone, and his trash all around, and he's thrown in a heap to die all alone. All around your town, I ain't done nothing wrong, but I can't get up from down. I'm on my way back home, but I ain't got nowhere to go. I could probably put that in a different key. I don't know. I used to sing it in that key, but it seems too low now. Anyway,
Thank you,
that's King
Charlie.
Earl.
It's in D on the record.
Well, there you go. Good to know.
So that is a little low.
Yeah, I don't
know if the record is the key you've been.
I don't know. I don't know either. But I don't play that song a whole lot. It's kind of, you know, it feels kind of on the nose, if you know what I mean. Sometimes.
Yeah.
So it depends on the venue.
I enjoy that song very
Thank
much.
you. Appreciate
I like
that.
that character. I enjoy that song.
Yeah, it
very
came
much.
out of experiences that I had working, and then I had written. Because at the time I was having a hard time processing all this stuff. My dad had passed away, so I was kind of in this, like, I was having a bunch of grief stuff. So I wrote this whole, I wrote a book, and it started out as just stream of consciousness, writing to get out of my head, you know, dealing with my dad and his passing. And all these people that I was meeting, and how you can't do, you know, you go do that kind of work, and then you go home and you go in your bed and you're nice and cozy and everything's great. You just, in your mind, all those people, you know their names, you know their names, and they're all still out there somewhere. You're gonna see them the next day, and you wonder what are they doing tonight? You know, they're not comfortable. You know, it weighs on a person. So I wrote this whole thing. I wrote this whole book. And after I got done with it, I had a book, and I knew I had an author friend of mine, who's a dear friend of mine. I haven't seen him in a long time. I sent him the book. I said, "What do you think of this?" He goes, "It's terrible. Don't quit your job. It's awful. You're not a writer. Just forget about that." I said, "Oh, fair enough. He said, "You want me to send it back?" I said, "No, you just keep it. It's terrible." So, but then when I started writing songs, 2 years after that, I started writing songs in the same attempt to try to deal with my grief. Those stories from the book, and King Earl was one of those characters, came into my songs. You know, the song "Cheap Wine" came out of that book, and several other, 5 or 6 songs came out of this one little piece of bad, poorly written semi-fiction. So there you go.
Poorly written.
It was horrible. I'm glad I don't have it anymore, because I would hate to look at it.
Well, I'm glad we have King Earl and Cheap Wine and
Stories just needed a different medium.
all of those.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Let's see.
Ivy and
Yeah, I'm just catching up here. EFS Glass says thank you very much. It's one of his favorite songs, the Birdman story there. And Gina's here. Love 12-string guitars too. Gina Lee. Do you know Gina Lee? She's a musician in town. Plays 12 strings.
Oh, nice.
She was on last spring. Ivy Vigno's here. Arnie and I love you, Charlie. Always and forever. Live with unconditional love. That is such a beautiful Ojibwe value. Sorry. Zawanim. Thank you.
Oh, I love those guys.
Miigwech for all that you give and put out in our world. Likewise, Ivy and Arnie.
Yes.
Kyle Earl weighs in.
Oh, I didn't see Kyle. Oh, Kyle! Sounded good, buds, from Kyle. Kyle, nice bridge work on the resonator there.
Yes. This is part mule, part Kyle.
If you need a new bridge on your resonator, see Kyle Orla Stringworks.
Let him finish the one on my national first.
Hold on, in a few weeks, go see Kyle.
No, that's all right. I gotta go to New York anyway. He can take his time.
There's lots I'd love to ask, but anything else you want to play first?
Do you feel like playing something I did not write?
I feel like playing whatever you want to play.
It's St. James Infirmary Blues.
Yeah. Kyle, Yeah, we're gonna do St. James Infirmary.
I was down at old Joe's barroom at the corner of the square, serving them drinks as usual, Lord, and the usual crowd was there. To my left stood Big Joe McKennedy. His eyes was bloodshot red. He turned to the crowd around him, and these are the very words he said. This is your part now. I was down at St. James Infirmary. I saw my baby there, stretched out on a long white table, so sweet, so cold, so fair. Let her go, God bless her, wherever she may be. Search this wide world over, our Lord, never found another loving man like me. When I die, won't you bury me, boy, in my high-top Stetson hat? Put a $20 gold piece on my watch chain. My friends will know I died standing pat. I want 6 crap shooters for Paul Bearer. Costco can sing me a song. Put a jazz band on my horse wagon, playing slow as I roll along. Roll out your old-time carriage, roll out your double-seated hack. 12 men going to the graveyard today. There's only gonna be 11 coming back. Now that I told my story, won't you line me up another shot of booze? And if anybody happen to ask you, you tell them I got them old gambler's blues. Let her go, God bless her, wherever she may be. Search this wide world over, now Lord, never found another sweet loving man like me.
Yeah. Kyle and I played St. James Infirmary when he was
Oh, sweet. I love that song.
Oh, nice, man. What else do it? You've named so many names already, and I know so few of them. But who are some of your guitar giants? Who do you look up to?
That list is massive.
Right. If you were going to narrow it down.
If I was going to narrow it down, my God. Contemporary folks, people who are still alive, I guess. Marisa Anderson tops that list. Chuck Johnson is on that list. Bill Frisell. Julian Lage.
Got to see Julian in Portland last fall.
I had tickets to see him at the Dakota with his solo show, and I wasn't able to go, and it broke my heart. Jake Fussell is on that list.
Julian Lage, he spoke before the show I saw. He talked about playing guitar and his students being frustrated that they're behind with their practice, that they need to, this is related to what you said before, and Julian said, I don't know what we're behind. What is the deadline? Who am I racing? Who am I catching up to?
Right. He's, he did an interview with...
and then the show was amazing.
Yeah, oh yeah. He did an interview with Rick Beato where he talked about focal dystonia, which I suffer from.
Oh yeah?
And he talked...
Billy has talked about that too.
He talked about his techniques for dealing with focal dystonia, which kind of matched the things that I'd been told and I'd read about, and it was really inspiring, to see someone that, that talented talk about something that lives in my head as well, and is difficult.
Is inspiring.
It is. So he's someone I look up to.
Julian Lodge.
A lot. The guitar players that I've always loved that aren't around or can't play. I mean, Spider John Koerner definitely is at the top of the list. He's not playing anymore. He's still alive. He's very much alive, but he's not playing now. Dave Ray, I used to go see Dave Ray play every single time that I could see him play, and like I said, cop licks and run home and try to play what he played. And of course, the kind of the older, the group of like late 50s, early 60s folk scare guitar players like Dave Van Ronk and Leo Kottke, John Fahey. And
Leo
that same
Kottke's from your neck of the woods.
Yeah, exactly. Jack Rose, who I became friends with before he passed away way too early. And then kind of the first generation of recorded guitar players like Charlie Patton and Memphis Minnie, Blind Lemon Jefferson. I listen to that. I still listen to all that stuff. When I discovered, in that record collection of my dad's, when I discovered guitar players, like Lightnin' Hopkins and Mans Lipscomb, I'm at the library digging through Folkways records looking for, Blind Lemon Jefferson. I became obsessed with Blind Lemon Jefferson for a long time when I was a teenager. So the list is just massive, and every time I think about those names, there's probably 100 guitar players that are left off that list. But I've been very lucky. I've gotten to see a lot of people. Nels Cline, that I look up to and admire, and if I don't learn something specific from their presence, I just am inspired by them, and that means a ton to me.
This from the guy who says he's not a good student and hasn't studied.
Has not
studied. Sounds like a lot of study is what that sounds like.
Well, I was told once.
I'm blown away at the amount of listening, Charlie.
I was in middle school. I was told once, you're not going to get very far if you only ever study what you like. You have to learn stuff that you don't like too, and I didn't take that advice. I also
that was poor advice.
I don't know. I mean, I
poor advice.
I also didn't take my dad's advice, which was, get a skill in your pocket before you go wandering off into the world playing guitar. Learn how to do plumbing or welding or something, which I think was good advice, and I did not take that advice. I bought a car from a police auction and went wandering off into the world, gonna play guitar and bust in every city I could until I got arrested and sent home.
Well, it was advice, and I could see I would be probably inclined to offer my son similar advice. But
of course, I mean, worry about him.
But if you stop to learn how to be a plumber, Charlie, we very well may not be sitting here right now.
Possibly. It's a lucrative career.
Plumber that's good money.
That's good money.
Nobody wants to do that work.
It's hard work.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather do this work.
If I'm going to work with my hands, I'd rather be holding a guitar.
Precisely.
Than anything a plumber has to hold during their 9 to 5.
I wouldn't change anything. I really don't have regrets about the decisions that I've made around this instrument.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, no. Anything else you'd like to play? It's amazing how quickly an hour is passing.
Oh, do we have time for?
I mean, we're not. The venue's very forgiving. We have time for whatever we want to do.
Okay. Well,
but
maybe I
probably one or two more.
do a quick retune and play a little bottleneck for something.
Ooh.
I'll go to open G.
I'll check in over here. My folks are enjoying the show in Bemidji, hanging on every note.
I love
Sister
Bemidji.
Kim Leon says, Billy's style is so fascinating. Charlie, please name a female guitarist that you admire. I'm curious.
Well, I did.
The top of
my list is Marisa Anderson.
Marisa Anderson. Tell us about her.
She's an amazing instrumentalist. She's a classically trained guitar player, but she's done deconstructions of a lot of composed music and then composed a lot of her own instrumental music.
How do you mean deconstructions?
She has taken, like a Reverend Gary Davis song and just taken it apart and turned it into what sounds like an experimental piece of music. I don't know if you know Bill Orcutt. There's another guitar player who takes music apart and reassembles it so it's still recognizable, but there's a lot of other elements going on.
I'm not familiar, but this is a beautiful thing about this. I've got so many names to look up.
Marisa is one of my very favorite guitar players, living guitar players. Bill Orcutt's another one of them, but she has a talent for taking apart known compositions, concentrating on pieces of those compositions that you don't normally think about, just deconstructing them and then putting her focus on part of the music that gets maybe lost in the mix.
Cool. Yeah.
But her own compositions are really where she's got a lot of records out. I think she's absolutely amazing. Ava Mendoza is a free jazz guitar player from New York. Absolutely stunning guitar player. I can listen to Ava Mendoza all the time.
How do you have time to listen to all of this?
I don't do any. I don't have a job. I don't have a job. I literally don't have a job. I sit and I listen to music. But I grew up in the late 70s.
You do have a job. It's sitting and listening to music. And we're
I
all grateful that you're doing that job.
I grew up in a time when if you wanted to hear music, you had to fight for it. Go to the library, meet people, get obsessed and jealous about music, to the point where you're considering stealing records from the library, which I never did, but I considered it all the time. Now, because of the telephone that's somewhere in my coat pocket, all the music's there. If you go and look at my Bandcamp fan page, I think there's 800 things on there, which I love because I know I have a Bandcamp music page, and the music, the money, comes mostly to me. So I buy people's records on Bandcamp more than anything else. I don't usually stream stuff. I go, Ava is one of those guitar players. I was in New York. I was in the Lower East Side. I got there early so I could take a walk, have my little thing. I play at the Mercury Lounge on Houston Street. Right up the street from the Mercury Lounge is Jonas Schimmel's little deli where you can buy a knish for like $3. So I'm walking around, get my knish, go to the park, eat, and there's a jazz band playing, and it's
in the park.
It's beautiful. It's free jazz. It's just it's ethereal. And I go to watch, and the guitar player's Ava Mendoza, who I didn't know. I made a little movie of it, and I shared it with my friend Liz Draper, who's a bass player. And she recognized Ava, told me who it was. And so I dove into Bandcamp to find her and bought everything I could, and has been a fan ever since, So it's beautiful now, the way that you can find music now without tons and tons of effort, like it used to be.
You take a video of someone in the park and your friend knows them, and then you have all their records.
You're in New York City.
Yeah.
What are the odds? But
awesome.
So yeah, there are a lot of guitar players that are alive today who are inspiring.
Patrick is listening. He says that's why I teach plumbing now, not to do it.
Well, when things go haywire, I'll be coming to you for lessons, man.
Ted Anderson's watching. He says, thanks for the tunes, fellas. Rob should write a tune titled "Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Plumbers."
Oh my God.
Rob is a retired plumber, and says great show. And Sista Kim Leon, I think I already mentioned. Billy Styles, fascinating. You're right, we just talked about women players. What do you think? You just retuned for something.
I could play Over the Red Cedar, which is more or less in G, I think. Take a look at their big house, bigger than they really needed. He got the dualies on his pickup, and the dealer gave him a choice. Now he's lost his job on the build site, and he's struggling to feed his boys. And the red cedar grows, red cedar flows, long after you're gone. It's outlasting you, outlasting you, outlasting you. And his wife was his high school girl, and they never left this town. It booms and busts, it heaves and rusts, but they can't bear to go. Now they couldn't go if they wanted to. There ain't no work anywhere anymore. And the red cedar grows, red cedar flows, long after you're gone. It's outlasting you, outlasting you, outlasting you. She's been serving food down at Bud's. He can't stand to see her down there where all the desperate men sit and drink, stare a little too long at her legs. He sits home with the kids at night, hiding the worry on his face. And the red cedar grows, red cedar flows, long after you're gone. It's outlasting you, outlasting you, outlasting you. And the kids are getting bigger. They can't play outside like it used to be. You know exactly what's lurking out there. You can see it on the news every night. In the village that it takes to raise our kids is afraid to come outside. And the red cedar grows, red cedar flows, long after you're gone. It's outlasting you, outlasting you, outlasting you. The hardest time, it seems to stand still, and they've piled up quite a few of them now. 20 years worth of not quite 3 o'clock. Well, time moves as fast as it ever did. There ain't nothing you can do to slow it down. And the red cedar grows, red cedar flows, long after you're gone. It's outlasting you, outlasting you, outlasting you, outlasting you. Something like that. That's good.
Yeah. Go play outside.
Yeah.
Good morning, Ilsa. Ilsa, this is Charlie.
Good morning.
Let's check in over here. Maxie Child says, sounds great somewhere in Texas. Loving it. All right. Yeah. Flat Earth stuff. Riffing on the plumbing. We're getting to the top of the. Look at that. We're actually just past the top of the hour.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know. You got
Time
got anything?
flies.
It does, isn't it? Doesn't it? I don't know that there's. Looking at my list, I think we talked about everything. Anything you'd like to send us off with?
Give me.
Tune.
Sure.
A closer. One more.
Do you want to do 1922?
Yes, I want to do 1920. I thought you'd never ask.
I played an A in A.
Oh, good. I like that
I don't know
too.
what the recording was, but
It's an A.
I worked all summer, couldn't save a cent. I gave all my money to the government. I don't know quite how I got spent, but the bank's coming for my deed. Man at the mill can't see to let me get my feed for free, and it ain't that the way. Well, I cut out down the gravel road, and I traded my stock for a V8 Ford. My dad's 410 down the floorboards, and Tyler's rolled down to me. That gasoline ain't free, this clutch is wearing out my knee, and it ain't that the way it is. Told me bust my job, I talked to his sister again. Told me I wouldn't win, now there's blood running out of my chin. Ain't that the way? Spent all night on the barroom floor, and I woke this morning, my head was sore. My pocket's empty, but I want some more. The barman got that car, Tad's worth more by far. I'll leave it down at the bar and say, ain't that the way it is? Hitched me around way back home, and I got a job on a family farm. The times are hard and I can't roam, and I ain't got nothing more. And I owe the company store, but the road is looking good for sure. Ain't that the way? I worked all summer, couldn't save a cent. I gave all of my money to the government, and I don't know quite how I got spent, but the bank coming for my deed. And the man at the mill can't see to let me get my feed for free. But ain't that the way?
Thank you so much, Charlie.
Thanks, Darin.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'll see you next week. Love to you all.